Stop trying to fix toxic people, because that one habit is quietly destroying your peace. Most people don't realize this, but the more patient you are with toxic people, the more power you give them over your life. And the dangerous part is this: you don't even notice it happening. You think you're being understanding, you think you're being mature, but in reality, you are being conditioned. And in this video, you're going to learn the smart way to deal with toxic people without losing yourself in the process. Part 1. How toxic people actually control you. Toxic people don't control you with force. They control you with confusion, slowly, quietly, strategically. One day, they are kind to you. They listen, they smile, they make you feel seen. And the next day, they withdraw, they become cold, they act like you did something wrong. And now, you're thinking, what changed? Did I do something? Why are they acting like this? That moment right there, that is where control begins. Because now, you are no longer grounded in yourself. You are trying to read them, understand them, adjust yourself to keep the peace. Let me make this clear. Confusion is not a side effect. Confusion is the strategy. The more confused you are, the more you chase clarity. And the more you chase clarity, the more they control the narrative. Think about the last time someone hurt you, then acted like nothing happened. You wanted to bring it up, but something held you back. Maybe you didn't want drama. Maybe you didn't want to seem too emotional. So you stayed quiet. And in that silence, they learned something important. They can get away with it. RT2, the biggest mistake you keep making. Now here's where most people lose. They believe the solution is communication. So they start explaining themselves. I didn't mean it like that. That's not what I was trying to do. Let me clarify. But here's the truth. You are explaining yourself to someone who has already decided to misunderstand you, and that changes everything. Deep insight. Toxic people don't misunderstand you by accident. They misunderstand you on purpose, because when you feel misunderstood, you start trying harder. You explain more, you prove more, you give more, and every time you do that, you lower your position and raise theirs. Imagine arguing with someone who interrupts you, twists your words, brings up old issues. You leave that conversation exhausted, not because you were wrong, but because you were trying to be understood by someone who wasn't listening. The more you try to fix the relationship, the more you lose control of yourself. RT3, the mindset shift that changes everything. Here's the shift. Stop asking, how do I make them understand me? Start asking, why am I explaining myself to someone who benefits from misunderstanding me? That question will wake you up, because now you stop performing and you start observing. Awareness layer. You begin to notice patterns, the same arguments, the same confusion, the same emotional drain. And instead of reacting, you pause. Controlled pause moment. And in that pause, you take your power back. There's a moment in every toxic dynamic where you realize, this is not a misunderstanding. This is a pattern. That realization is uncomfortable, but it's also freeing. RT4, the smart way to respond. Now let's talk strategy. Not emotional reaction, but controlled response. 1. Stop over-explaining. You don't need to explain everything. You don't need to defend every action. And you definitely don't need to convince someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful response. Enforcement. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Silence means you refuse to play the game. 2. Detach emotionally. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming stable. You respond, but you don't react. You listen, but you don't absorb everything. Crow scenario. They raise their voice instead of matching their energy. You stay calm. That alone disrupts their control. 3. Set Invisible boundaries. You don't announce boundaries to toxic people. You enforce them quietly. You reduce access. You reduce engagement. You reduce availability. Reinforcement. Not everything needs a conversation. Some things need a decision. 4. Accept who they are. This is hard because part of you still believes they can change. But real power comes when you accept reality, not potential, not promises, reality. Ishin will pause, and when you accept reality, you stop expecting what they were never going to give. 5. Control access to you. This is the most important one. Toxic people thrive on access. Your time, your attention, your emotional energy. When you limit access, you limit their power. Part 5, the hard truth most people avoid. Here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear. Some people don't want peace with you. They want control over you. And the longer you try to fix them, the longer you stay stuck. Now, reinforcement. You don't heal by understanding toxic people. You heal by disengaging from toxic patterns. And here's what most people never realize. Toxic people don't win because they are stronger. They win because you keep showing up to a game that was designed for you to lose. But the moment you step back, the moment you stop reacting, the moment you choose yourself, that's when everything changes.